Hello and welcome to this episode of That's Interesting. I'm your host, Frank Hart. This show explores things that I find interesting. I hope that you find them interesting too. The guest on this show is author Wayne G. Miller. Wayne is here to talk about his book, Quincy, Massachusetts, a Shipbuilding Tradition. Well, welcome to the show, Wayne.
Thanks, Frank. Good to be here.
Yep. This is our second show with Wayne, so I know him from before. So just give some of the viewers a little bit of your background, Wayne, and how you came to write this book. And
Yeah, well, in 2008, I decided to retire. I was very young at the time, and I was buying and selling antiques and collectibles at the time, and I sold sports memorabilia, movie, political, things like that. And I also bought and sold postcards. So when I retired, I thought, well, gee, it would be fun to collect postcards of Quincy, because I grew up in Quincy. And the postcards started around the same time as the Fall River Shipyard did in 1903.
okay.
So the picture postcard coincides perfectly with the shipbuilding business in Fall River. And so I started collecting, and I've got some interiors of the shipyard, some of the buildings, and some of the people. And I had a couple hundred postcards of Quincy itself, which was nice. Some of the old buildings, some of them don't even exist any longer.
Right.
So I collected mostly up until World War II. And so I ended up buying a whole bunch of cards of the ships that were built at Fall River. And it took me about 4 years, and I ended up with about 250 individual ships that were on picture postcards between 1903 and pretty much World War II. So I thought, well, gee, it would be fun to put a book together. So I did. I wrote Fall River Shipyard postcard history, and it has I think 208 photographs of the shipyard ships. So it was nice to put that in book form. And then about a year after that book was published, I spent some time at the Quincy Historical Society and found out about all sorts of other shipyards that were in Quincy. And talking to the director, I noticed that there really wasn't a history ever done about shipbuilding in Quincy, and it was such an important part of the city.
Yep.
So I thought I would kind of bite that off and try to write a history of shipbuilding in Quincy from the 1700s up to, well, pretty much when the Fall River Shipyard closed. And I found 20-some interesting builders all around the Fall River and the Town River, even in North Quincy and Wollaston Beach. And so that's how this book came about. It took me 4.5 years to do all the research and write the book and gather all the photographs. There's 153 photographs in the book. So that's how it all came about.
Good. Yeah, no, I found it, the photographs were really good, and I found it very, very interesting what you described. So what we're going to do is just a section of what Wayne has written about. We picked out about 5 or 6 different shipyards, and we're going to talk about those. So we wanted to start with the John Souther Jr. shipyard. He was located in...
well, originally in Hingham.
Yeah.
He was born in Hingham, and he took over his father's shipyard in the early 1800s. And he found the property where the mill is today, on the Southern Artery. It's a famous landmark in Quincy. And that was built in 1806. When he moved to Quincy, it was 1815. So that structure had been there for 9 years. There was a sawmill there, a grist mill, a wharf, where they built ships, and they also managed the lock to the Quincy Canal, which was built in 1826.
Yeah,
And here's a photograph of John Souther Jr. That was when he was quite elderly. He was in his 80s during this photograph.
lived for quite a while.
Yeah, he actually lived to be 95, I believe.
Well,
Yeah.
good for that time.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Now, when was I have here that he had 1815 to 1873. He had quite a business. I mean, he had more than a shipyard, as you've described. So he was there
Yeah,
for
it
quite
was
a while.
the whole big operation. It was very big,
Yeah.
and it took up quite a frontage along what is today the Southern Artery and the town river.
Yeah. Well, his one's easy to find because it's right. The grist mill is still there next to the CVS on Southern Artery. And
That's right. Yeah, they're in the process of hopefully restoring it. It's uninhabitable at the moment because of the water rising, and it's caused a problem for the building, the structure itself.
Well, why don't we pop up one of his vessels that he built? Here's the brig Souther.
This is the brig. They named it after the family, so it's the Souther. That was built in 1840. That is a brig. That's what they call a brig, with 2 masts. And it traveled up and down the East Coast, picking up sugar and many items from the Caribbean and Savannah, Georgia, and it would bring it back to New England. And so that's the only photograph that I could find, and it's in the files of the Quincy Historical Society.
But he built a lot of other types of vessels also, right?
Yeah, he also built the sloops to carry granite.
Yeah.
So those are his 2 main things that he built. He built ships to carry goods up and down the East Coast, as well as shipping of granite and the granite sloops.
Yeah, and
but what makes him special to me is that he gave so much of his life to the city. Well, at the time it was a town.
Yeah.
He was involved in politics. He was a representative to the legislature, and he was on the building committees of every important building, pretty much, that went up in town. The First Parish Church in 1828. The railroad, the Granite Railway in 1826, the Quincy Canal that same year, and City Hall, that beautiful structure downtown. So he was involved in all 4 of those buildings. So he spent a great deal of his time volunteering his time. And in the 1830s, he turned the shipyard over to his son, John L. Souther.
Okay.
So, but he still kind of worked there, but his son took over the principal duties as CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. Next one we have is, if I pronounce this correctly, Peleg Jones?
Yeah, we have a map.
Yeah.
The map shows where Town River is, right in the center, and Souther's shipyard was at number 2.
Yeah, and then we're into
On the
Jones.
right.
He's at number 4,
Yeah, Peleg Jones.
which is in the insert.
If you know where the gas tanks are at the Rotary, at the Fall River Bridge, that's where his yard was. And that's basically called Shipyard Point, where it juts out there, where the Procter & Gamble plant was there in the 1940s through the 70s, 80s. Twin Rivers technology.
Yeah.
You could see that from there today. He built one kind of ship, almost exclusively, and that was the Quincy stone sloops.
Okay.
And they were about 90 feet long, and they carried an extreme heavy load. Very extreme.
We
As
have
a matter of fact, we have a picture of.
Okay.
Well, you can see right here. The first picture is of what they used from the granite quarries to put the stone on, the granite. And this would have approximately 10 horses and 7 yoke of oxen. So that was 14 oxen and 10 horses
Yeah.
would be pulling this through the town of Quincy at the time.
Must have been a
all
sight
the
to
way
see.
down Quarry Street, through Quincy Center, and it would go to where the ship would be waiting at Town River at the dock.
Yep.
And I have a newspaper article which I put in the book about what they had to go through in 1874 and 1876 to bring that through town. It was only about 2 to 3 mile drive.
Yeah.
And it took them 3 days
Oh, wow.
in this newspaper article because it would get stuck in the mud. It was such a heavy load.
Yeah.
So then when they got it to the dock, they would have to put it on board. And, you know, they have a derrick
Yeah.
that would pull it up. And at the bottom, to ballast the ship, they would put all the smaller pieces.
We have a
'Cause-
picture of one of those granite slopes.
Yeah, there it is. That's a picture from 1900. That's in the files of the Quincy Historical Society. And if you look at that closely at the water line, you can see that the ship is almost awash in water. So these were extremely dangerous ships to work on. And I have one story in the book about the Daniel Webster, which was built by Peleg Jones, that it sank 3 times.
It's 3 times.
And the first 2 times they were able to raise it, and nobody died. But the third time, it sank, and three of the men on board were killed, which was unfortunately quite a common occurrence from the reading that I've done. That it was such a dangerous job because if the load shifted, the boat was gone. It would tip over.
Yeah, because you
So
were
that's
saying.
why they put the larger pieces at the top.
Okay.
And they basically filled it to capacity, as that picture showed, right down to the water line.
Yeah. Almost awash,
Another chip of granite, and the boat would have gone over. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty brave. Pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy when you think those guys could not have gotten insurance policies on their lives.
Right. And how far did these boats range? Did they up and down
Oh,
the
they
coast?
went all the way up and down the East Coast.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, in Savannah, Georgia, they built the courthouse there with Quincy granite. So somebody in a sloop took that all the way down to Georgia.
Yeah.
And they also went up to Maine,
Yep.
Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, a lot of these shipyards, in addition to building vessels for commercial vessels, they also build private vessels, and they would store the vessels there.
Yeah, they repair and storage facilities. They all had storage facilities.
Yeah, because now we're talking around the time that Quincy Yacht Club, I believe, is the oldest yacht club in Quincy.
Yeah, 1874.
Right. Yeah, because they just had their 150th last year. So now there's a lot of yachtsmen that need a place to store their vessels over the winter, their boats over the winter. So they also did that too.
Around Town River, all the shipyards had storage facilities. They would wrap them.
Yeah. Not shrink wrap.
Yeah.
Not the right shrink wrap we see now. But,
yeah, they look like they're shrink wrapped.
do they?
They're all white,
Okay.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that where the Bay Point Waterfront restaurant is, that's where the Baker Yacht Basin was. They had the largest facility to store boats, and they still store boats there all these years later.
Yeah.
Baker's not there any longer. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about one of the builders that he was exclusively designer and builder of private vessels, pleasure vessels, and that's William F. Maybury, Right, and he was pleasure boats, cat boats, sloops.
Yeah, he came over from Ireland in the 1850s, and he built cat boats. I think we have a
Yeah,
picture of the Maisie, which he built for the Commodore of the Quincy Yacht Club. There it is. You can see that it has one large mast, and it's right at almost at the tip of the
right.
bow, and it has one huge sail. That is a massive sail
Yeah.
to push it through the water. And these were day boats. As you can see, there's a family in the boat.
Yeah.
It looks like there's about 6 people. That's a lot for a...
Not much freeboard on that boat either.
Well, that boat is only 15, probably 15, 16 feet at the water line. So
Okay,
yeah, Mayberry built, all his boats were 15 to 20 feet at the water line. So
Yeah.
they're pretty small. And his son, George, raced his father's boats
Yeah.
for not only his own account, but for people in Quincy, other yachtsmen. So he was a big yachtsman in Quincy, George Mayberry, for many,
Okay.
many years, for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was the yachtsman's boat of choice in the 1870s, all the way until about around 1900, when they finally fell out of favor. Yeah.
Yeah. Cat boats are nice boats. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
They were pretty speedy.
Yeah. Yeah. They sail flat. We have the next one we're going to do. John Stewart. We're getting away from Town River area now.
Yeah, Stewart was the only boat builder I could find on Wollaston Beach of any
Yeah.
import. There were a couple of other guys, and one guy built canoes, and they were really mom and pop operations. But Stewart, his yard was right opposite the Wollaston Yacht Club. If you know where the Squantum and Wollaston Yacht Clubs are, they're pretty much opposite where the Clam Box is.
Yeah.
On Beach Street was where Stewart's boat yard was. And yeah, he came over from Nova Scotia. No, he came over from Ireland. I'm sorry. The next guy is Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Yeah, he came over from Ireland, and he was building what they call launches. They're boats that are around 30, 39 feet long, power boats.
Yep.
And he had a very successful business. He advertised more than anybody in Quincy. And as you can see the boat right there, it's not fancy, that's for sure, but it had a powerful engine. And he made the cover of Motorboat magazine, which was a big deal because that was sold internationally, and,
Yep.
and it had a big following. Here's a picture from 1907.
And this one's about 39 feet
Yeah, this one.
overall. Yeah.
Yep.
Looks fast.
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah.
It had, I think, a 60 horsepower engine.
Okay.
So that's principally what he made. But he did a lot of advertising. He was in the Quincy directory with ads, and yeah, he was big stuff in town. I actually met his great granddaughter. She
Did
came to
you?
one of my talks,
Nice.
and she and her brother had a few things. They had a builder's plate, which I put in the book, and a couple of other things. It was nice to meet them.
Nice. Yeah. Yep. And then there was one builder up on the Ponset River, North Quincy. J.M. Densmore.
He's the only one I could find in Quincy on the Ponset River. On the Boston side and Milton side, there were several, but couldn't put them in the book. They were in the
Right.
wrong town. But yeah, Densmore. Yeah, he's the guy that came over from Nova Scotia. You know, as I was writing the book, I try to put where these people came from, and
Right.
over 20% of the builders came from three places. They came from Ireland, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty telling.
Yeah.
Densmore, he was there like from the first decade of the 20th century until around 1940 when he died. The business would have died anyway in 1940, 41 because World War II started, and
Yeah.
believe me, nobody was building yachts between 1940 and 1945.
Yeah.
So when he died, the shipyard ended. But he built the largest power boats
Yeah. Can we get that picture, John?
in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is doesn't do justice to it, but it's 73 feet long. You can't really tell. A very powerful boat, and he actually built one that was 120 feet for the Commodore of the New York Yacht Club.
Oh, okay.
That was the largest power boat ever built in Quincy.
Yeah.
Up until he retired. So that's what he did in North Quincy. And in 1933, the city of Quincy named Densmore Street after him. So there is a Densmore Street right along the Neponset River, right off of Hancock Street.
Okay.
You turn, as you're going towards Boston, you turn left on Densmore, and you can see where his yard was, and it's not there anymore. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so he was there for a couple of decades.
Okay. So a lot of these yards, including the Fall River Shipyard, but a lot of these yards built vessels for World War I, World War II. One thing that I found interesting was that, I believe it was for World War I, was that leading up to it, private citizens would order a vessel, and then the Navy would take them over.
That's right.
But they built it knowing that that was what was going to happen, so it was like a contribution to the war effort.
Yeah, and then when the war ended, they got their yachts back, and I don't know if the Navy Department paid to have it reconfigured.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was quite a patriotic thing for people to do. A lot of them were turned into submarine chasers.
Okay.
And several of the yards built submarine chasers in World War I and World War II because it was such a huge threat to commercial shipping as well as U.S. Navy ships. Yeah, and that's what they did.
Yes.
They had to. You either went out of business in 1917 when World War I started for the United States, or you took a government job, because otherwise you'd really have to lay everybody off. And same with World War II. It was imperative that you joined up with the U.S. Navy to help out the war effort.
Yeah. So can we get the first picture, John, please?
Yeah. Thomas Augustus Watson was the founder of the Fall River Shipyard.
Yeah.
And I guarantee if you interview 100 people on the street in Quincy, you'd be lucky to find 2 people that have that information, that know that. And Thomas Augustus Watson is famous because he was Alexander Graham Bell's assistant. And he's the guy that Bell teamed up with to really invent the telephone, because in 1874, when Bell came into Boston with his invention, it was crude. It didn't work as a telephone. It was called the harmonic telegraph.
Okay.
And the owner of the machine shop turned the harmonic telegraph and Bell over to Thomas Watson and said, you will work with Mr. Bell on this project. And Watson, over time, ended up with over twice as many patents related to the telephone as Alexander Graham Bell, which is remarkable since Bell gets all the credit
Right.
for inventing the telephone.
Yep.
And so I guess we'll talk more about it next time. But
Yeah.
the next picture is a picture of the previous Fall River Bridge to the one that most people remember when I was growing up. And this was an iron swing bridge that was built in 1902 by Watson to replace the old wooden bridge that was there from 1812 until 1902, because they couldn't get the ships through the Fall River to go out to sea. They'd basically be landlocked. So Watson, being a shrewd businessman, was able to win the contract to build the bridge. And back then it was called the Quincy Point Bridge.
Okay.
It was not called the Fall River Bridge. All the newspaper articles and the Quincy papers called it the Quincy Point Bridge. And that was the bridge that spanned the Fall River from 1902 until 1936. And this was a swing bridge. It opened up like this, so it swung open.
Yep. Yep.
They had a draw of about 100 feet,
Okay.
so they could fit the bigger
Yeah.
vessels through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can give some pictures of some of the vessels that were built now.
Yeah.
So get the next picture.
Yeah, that's the USS Des Moines. That was the first cruiser built for the U.S. Navy. And there's a street named Des Moines in Quincy Point. So if anybody wants to know why this street is named Des Moines, which is a place in Iowa,
Right.
that's because the ship was named Des Moines, and that was Watson's first U.S. Navy cruiser to be built. And that was launched in 1903.
No. Yep.
Yep.
Next picture, please.
Yeah, that's the USS Lexington. That was one of the first two aircraft carriers built for the U.S. Navy by any shipyard. And it's a very famous vessel. It was completed in 1927, well after World War I. And it served during World War II. Unfortunately, it sank at the Battle of Savo Island. So it was a very historic ship and lost many men during World War II.
Yeah. Okay. And I believe there's one more picture we have.
Yeah, that's probably the most famous battleship built by Fall River. It's the battleship Massachusetts. You can visit that ship today in Fall River, Massachusetts, at Battleship Cove. I've been there. It's wonderful. I went there on Memorial Day. I guess it's 2013. And they have speakers from the Navy, and it's very nice. But they give you one heck of a tour there. It's a fantastic ship.
Yeah. No, I've been there too. It's quite a place. And there's other vessels there too from World War II submarines, and there's a Russian patrol boat that they managed to get at one point too. I don't know how they got that, but they got that there. And you could tour all of that. It's a great place to be. Well, anything else you want to say, Wayne? Or
well, I'd just like to say that there are two generations of people that are living today in Quincy since the Fall River Shipyard closed in 1986 that have no idea that there was such a massive shipbuilding operation in Quincy for a couple hundred years, really, and the Fall River Shipyard for the last 86 years of its business. So yeah, it was a pleasure to put the books together, and you know, thank you for inviting me to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot more information in the book than we've given you here. A lot more builders that Wayne talks about.
Yeah, there's
and
over 20 of
more,
them.
Yeah, and a lot more pictures that we can.
Yeah.
I found it thoroughly enjoyable to read it.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Wayne. So we're now at the end of this episode, and I want to thank my guest, Wayne G. Miller, for talking with us. And thank you for watching this episode, and I hope that you stay interested.